to Pursue the Pull, the podcast that is geared towards helping people who are looking for a career change or for those who want to pursue their dreams and start their own business. Now, how do we differ from all of the other inspirational podcasts out there? Well, what we do is we interview people from a range of different industries. So if you want to set up your own restaurant or set up your own gym or your own cafe or your own tech company, whatever it might be, we have someone specific from that industry to tell you the highs and lows and how to get started, but most importantly, the truth. Now, we are one group, one community, and we have all of the answers. I am your host, Stacey Bevan, and today I have an amazing guest. His name is Sergiy, and he's the owner of Talsec, which is a company that offers a protection toolkit for mobile-first businesses. Now, first of all, thank you so much for joining us, Sergiy. This is going to be amazing insight for all of our tech entrepreneurs.
Thank you for having me here, Stacey. It's great to be here.
No problem. Okay, so look, before we go into the questions, I'm just going to give a little bit of background into what it is that you do and the services that you offer. So you are a native Ukrainian who has over 15 years experience in security software and 10 years experience in managing security products. Now, fraud prevention in mobile applications is an important and growing market opportunity. Hence, Tlac was founded in 2021 and offers specialized tools for app developers that protects against hackers, conceals sensitive information, and detects malicious software. Now, Tlac is already protecting over 1,000 applications from companies including insurers, Generali and big fintech firms like BrasilCard and the Czech Ministry of the Interior. It is also popular among developers striving to safeguard their mobile apps against major threats and adhere to best security practices. Now, you have achieved a lot. So the company has already received several awards and recognitions. So Google included your company among 17 global startups using artificial intelligence to transform cybersecurity. And for its Apicit project, and I'm sure you'll go into this, I probably pronounced it wrong, but Talsec received the prestigious Ernst & Young ESO Cyberspace Innovation Award, and it was selected in the top 50 by 4YFN at the Mobile World Congress. That was a mouthful. You have also received an investment recently of 1 million in the first round for London-based Dig Ventures and Czech Depot Ventures. Now, this funding is intended to accelerate its penetration into the global market and support further development. Now, look, this is a lot that you've been doing, and I can't wait to go into the questions, so I'm just going to dive straight into it. So, your background, tell me, how did all of this start? Like, how did you go from, school, college, or working, and then how did you go into going into your own business, first of all? Just take us through those steps. How did all of this begin?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for such a great wrap-up of Talsec and what we're doing and what is special about us and our last achievements. It's great to hear that. If you have to talk about how it's all started, probably I need to go back to my student's time, and my father was also an entrepreneur, and he had a company which was doing like some equipment for space industry in Soviet Union, right? So, and they did some special things for astronauts, health systems, whatever. And when 90s came, all this Soviet let's say economy was totally disrupted, and he started some business. Like he bought some computers and started to make a business to educate people to use PCs, like to use Excel and Microsoft Word and Office and all that. He started this business, and this business didn't work well at all because it was business and not how he used to run the company, let's say, which was like for government programs, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely special. And I when I seen him, I was like 17 or 18 years old. I say, Dad, it's not gonna work. It's not how these things should work these days, I said, okay, you know a lot, so okay, take it. It's yours now. And he gave me this small business of like 10 PCs and some elder women and men came to learn Microsoft Word. And I said, oh, what am I going to do with all that?
Yeah.
And this was the time when I started. It was my first business that I had to drive, like to help my father and to earn some money for the beer when I was 18 or 19 on this age. Yeah. So yes, this is how it all started. I was fed up very quickly with all that. So I was learning and studying in university software development and want to be like programmer. Then I decided to stop all this like small stuff and wanted to see how big business works. And I stopped this family business and escaped from it, frankly speaking, and say, okay, I also fed up. I also don't know how to do it, frankly speaking. So, and go to see how big business works and start learning and start to be analyst and as a project manager later in different projects, including mobile operators business and like billing systems. Then it was turned to a little bit to more like financial services of mobile operators, like mobile money. And then it turned closer to security, and it was always like, so there were different companies and different projects over the globe.
Yeah.
So when I was maybe 25, 26, I already traveled a lot for different projects over the globe. I've been in Pakistan, in India, in different on different projects, participated as a manager or analyst.
Yeah.
So this is where I was collecting all this kind of experience working for big corporations and building their projects, let's say.
Yeah.
This is how it started.
So you were working at the time. So how did you make that transition then from working for big corporations to then going it alone? And how did you know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Was that always there from, the experience that you had with your father? Or was it just a case of, okay, look, I feel that, it's time for me to go and do this alone? Did it just come about organically, or how did that transition happen?
Yeah, I think it took a lot of time for me to let's say to collect enough experience to be, let's say, ready to do things, let's say, with a quite to accept all risks and it had some confidence that this is the right thing to do. So practically I had several kind of side projects or like small startups when I was like working for enterprise. I had a kind of side project for, let's say, for soccer team management, to find Oracle players, because I've seen a gap like on the market and also tools that I missed. So okay, let's create it. So I invested my own money and it was it ended up tragically. I mean, not tragically, but I lost my money and money of some of my friends, and because it didn't work out. Again, there were a lot of mistakes. So my way to start up was full of disappointments, mistakes, falls. I was falling much more times that I had like success, let's say.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of, let's say, this kind of painful experience, but at the end it was all about, let's say, resilience and have this enough motivations that, okay, it was really interesting experience, and now I know much better. So at the end, when I look back, I never felt like it was like a disaster. So it was always something like, it's gonna be good. Yeah, it's gonna be okay. Good mistake. It was mistake. Okay, pity. We lost $10,000, but this lesson was what very important. So
yeah.
This is the way it worked, and so there were several like projects like that, and then my last like Talsec, which is actually a spin-off. So I also was collaborating. I was rather working as a freelancer for some company, and from the beginning of collaborating with this company, I said, okay, I think this business can fly as a startup, which means there should be some co-founders, there should be some share distribution and something like that.
Yeah.
And teams should own this kind of business somehow. So it was rather this last this Talsec, yeah. So it was a rather organical
Okay.
evolution from company, from freelancing allocation to the collaboration as co-founders.
Okay, and during that time that you were making that transition, and you said that a lot of things happened, and you had to be resilient, and how did you do that though? Because a lot of people during that period, when things go wrong, they tend to give up and be like, right, I'm just going to go back to a full-time job. Is there anything that kept you motivated? Like, what was your inspiration? How did you maintain that motivation, if you like?
Yeah, good question. So first of all, I think your private life and kind of psychological, emotional well-being is a mandatory basis. It's not. I would discourage anybody to start business when you don't feel like you're okay, mentally, psychologically, and physically, because it's really difficult time, and you need some spared resources and energy. For this resilience to sustain all this pressure and challenges and mistakes and failures. Yeah, because I don't know any startup without failures history. Me personally, yeah. So what I think was good thing for me as a kind of my hobby, you can call it a hobby, but I entered a psychotherapy course, like not long-term course, to become a psychotherapist. So when I go tired, I probably will be working as a psychotherapist. So so this kind of long-term course helps a lot. Yeah, so it helps you for a personal development, for this kind of resilience. There are other things, good things you can do for yourself, for your mental health, like meditations, like yoga, or somebody can go fishing, or I don't know, to have very, very good, loving, and super supportive personal relationships in the family, and with your partner, with your kids. So for me, this was also like important part of the story. Yeah. So your personal life should give you this space. For example, I have 3 small kids. Even right now, I have 3 kids, and it's a lot of kind of support necessary from your partner or from your let's say relatives or whoever is around you, helping you with to run the family.
So how did you, because as a family man, this is really important as well, because there's a lot of people that write into us and they have families and they're like, how can I take that next step? I've got a family to support. So from a monetary perspective, like, how did you do that? Because some people say, oh, we did things on the side and then we got enough money, we got enough savings to last us for like 6 months and then we were comfortable going into it. Or did you just kind of go straight into it and take that risk?
Yeah, in my case, let's say the first startup, which I said was quite a big disaster. I started when I had no kids, and there were not that much, let's say, kind of dependency on income, so we could manage to be quite cost efficient, let's say, family. And like, I mean, if talking about me myself, I'm not that much dependent on luxury stuff. I don't need to be to have a like best car or I don't know, super attractive, I don't know, dress or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was okay with what I have, and so I had these resources, and my kind of salary as a professional was quite okay. So I knew that I can manage to spare at least half of it for startup, and I just lost this money for the experience, of course. So and it was like lessons I learned. Then the Talsec, when I started at Talsec, I already had children, like young small kids, young family, and I didn't have that much capacity for risks, but I already had this experience, and I knew what I can, what I cannot, and what kind of conditions I need to preserve so that this startup could fly. And that's why it was not like my solo startup in a garage, but rather in partnership with a stronger partner with who I could manage to build trust and relationships, that they believe that, okay, we can risk the money and you risk your time. And I was risking much less money in when I started Talsec. And again, Talsec has a prehistory, so the technology was kind of had longer histories than my collaboration history with the company we spun off. So I, of course, contributed a lot to it, but I came to something which already worked, and I had to find a way how's this working, found its place in the market, being developed correctly and delivered correctly.
Yeah. So how did you then go on to get your kind of first clients, if you like, for Talsec? How did it start to grow? How did you get your first client?
Yeah, again, it was a again good example of very valuable failure.
Oh, okay.
So the first deal that we kind of were awarded. So history, just I started a few steps back. We started as a freemium product. So we created a product, created a free version of it, placed it on a GitHub, made it available for developers community, and start getting feedbacks, improvement requests, bags, I don't know, contributions in different forms. And community start live it, like use it somehow. Many people found it very useful, so we were like inspired by that. But we always kept it like a side effect of what we are doing, the free version. But then one guy from Deloitte consulting company, that drop us a message. One of the bank. I'm running a project for one of the bank, and I'm considering to use your product. If you have a premium version of it, what would you say about it? So I said, great, sure, let's discuss.
So they came to you because Deloitte's huge. They approached you. Was it through word of mouth, or how did they find you?
On the GitHub. They also they also love freemium tools. Even Deloitte guys and Accenture guys all developers and professionals love freemium tools, because you can try, access it quickly, touch it, play with it, see if it works, to watch the history of contributions, if the project is alive. So this is advantage of kind of bottom-up strategy, which we have. We are kind of product-led growth startup. So most of our clients came to us first, then we were knocking to their doors, most of our customers.
That's amazing.
And this is how this discussion started. They were like, we gave them like a trial version. It worked. They were like, very positive about, okay, let's go for the deal. And we were also happy to have this like first fresh deal, because we had some customers from our previous life, let's say from the times we were in our mother company, and we had some historical references, let's say. But this was like really first fresh client for us. And after some time, I realized that something probably not good, not something wrong with it, because with this deal, because the negotiation process and expectations from this customer was that high that it seemed to me that it's like not apple of not right size for us. So it's like I realized that, okay, if we go to accept whatever they want us to put in the contract, to put in SLA, into maintenance condition, into all the conditions and requirements, the long list, our default contract, which we prepared for our potential customers, was like 10 pages or something like that. Their contract was 110 pages, and most of them were our expectations from the vendor, what vendor should do in this situation and that situation, and this indemnities and that warranties and whatever. So at some point I said, no, we don't go for it. So, and I had to kind of refuse or the first deal awarded, and I was really at the end I was really happy that it happened. So we didn't want this deal. It was failed deal. And the next deal came just 1 month after, from some bank from Thailand. Then it was company from United States, like gaming, and then it started to pop up here and there. And they accepted all requirements, including bank in Thailand. Okay, it was not it was not a bank in EU, but still it was a bank. It has all requirements, and they had the pain, and we had a remedy for it, and they pay us.
That is incredible. And can I ask, because you recently got investment of, I think it was 1 million. What made you do that now, or like after the fact that you had launched? Why didn't you go for this kind of investment before? Why now? Is it because you want to take the company to the next level? Or I'm just trying to give our audience an idea of, because people think that when you launch a company, that's when you go for investment, but yours didn't happen like that. So can you explain?
So it's a science by itself, fundraising. I should admit I'm not a super expert, but what I learned, because I just learned, and this was again 1.5 years, because we have got our first term sheet, let's say offer for money, in the end of 22, and we got invested in the beginning of 24. So we spent more than a year. After this first term sheet, we had 2 more. So we refused 3 term sheets. 3 times we said no to investors offering money to us. And
why was that?
And again, it was like again painful and difficult experience. And thanks to the partners and trust with the kind of mother company who invested to us. Which, by the way, I think it's important to mention the company. It's called Monet Plus. It's quite a good cybersecurity vendor in Central Europe.
Amazing.
Yeah, and they invested to us, and we had a little bit of, let's say, reserve of, let's say, trust of the kind of our, we can call it angel investor, or it's actually co-founder. Somebody who gave money and supported till some time. And we were not dying of hunger. So out of money, so we had the luxury to say no to the first offer. And I would encourage all startuppers to not to be very quick with money. Yeah, not to take first money, put on somebody to put you in front of you on a table, to get a little of experience of these negotiations, to get a little bit of. It's always good if you have several term sheets to compare, to start these discussions. Then you are in a much better position, negotiating position, of course. So. Yeah, and get money too late is also not good, because your competitor is also there, and you need this money to run fast. Yeah, so if your startup is not running fast, you most likely end up behind. Startup cannot be slow. It's the only advantage of the startup comparing to corporate world. You are quick. And this is the main advantage, and you should take maximum for this advantage. You cannot afford to be slow. That's why you need money. You need some fuel to run quick. So, but generally, the later you are in your let's say evolution phase, the better conditions, of course, you have, the better valuation if your company has. To me, the startup like ours, it's very difficult to start without any kind of big bundle of money for beginning to get your first paying customers. You need something like that. So it's very hard to make cybersecurity in a garage. You maybe can create some app with your friend, but to make a reliable product, you need to have some maturity. Yes, you need to have some fat to survive for some time while you develop your trust for your future customers. That's why it was our history. If you do another sort of business, it could be different history. Probably if I would doing mobile app or something like that, or mobile game, I would maybe take the first money I'm offered and as quick as possible, and be in the market. In our case, we had a little bit of luxury to make this later, to get the first investment when we got our revenue, we got our, some MRR, which was we were almost at break even when we got this funding. So we got kind of fair conditions, and times are not super good for investments right now. I mean, the overall VC moods are not on their peaks, so it's rather on a lower phase, but we still believe that this deal was fair, and we so far very optimistic with our relationships with our investors we have at the moment.
Good. And look, it's a very competitive space that you're in. Did you not have any fear there, or did you not compare yourself to other companies? Because a lot of people do that. They start comparing, they see how competitive it is, and then they get that fear and they're like, oh, I don't think I'll be able to do this. Did you have anything like that? Have any of those kind of thoughts?
It's a really great question. I think it's my kind of unfair advantage or trick. I'm not sure if I should disclose it.
I think you should.
Okay, everybody listen now. I think the focus that I put was really a lot of what not doing rather than what doing.
Okay.
So startup like ours had to be very, very careful of what they do, because whatever you do, it has maintenance. Whatever you introduce, every feature, every element of your value proposition has maintenance. If it is document, it is maintenance. If it is development portal, it is maintenance. If you do some cloud service, it is huge maintenance, which usually underestimated. What does it mean to run SaaS business, especially if you are kind of hosting this solution? And et cetera, et cetera. So whatever you put on table, offering your client has its cost, even if they're not immediate costs. I was really thinking a lot about the business model and how Talsec should be different, conceptually different from all other vendors on the market. And I think I found my conceptual difference, how we really differ from the rest of, usually these are kind of corporates, which are selling for corporates, or enterprises selling for enterprises, like cybersecurity vendors that are usually big companies. And we say, can this kind of cybersecurity solution be sold differently? If they can, how should it be? So, and we try to find our model. And kind of maybe the business model is the main innovation of Talsec, actually. How we can offer the valuable product that can be trusted, that can be trusted enough to try and to pay later, and at the same time to keep kind of to stay cost efficient, to stay easily manageable, to stay transparent, let's say, so that not to become quickly the corporate.
Good. That's good. That's a good tip of how not to
think of what's not doing.
Exactly. And what you can do, or what you could do better than. Okay, interesting. Thank you for that. So I've just got a quick question in terms of, we talked a bit about all of the challenges that you've been through. Can you give us an example of a challenge that you faced and how you overcame that challenge?
It was a challenge after challenge. It's a story of challenges. It's easy with technological challenges because it's a great fun. It's what engineers love to do. And I'm like also like I have a kind of a split or schizophrenia. Part of me, half of me is an engineer, and part of me is like more like business person. And my engineering part really loved to solve technological challenges, technological issues. And the second half of me is really a lot of thinking like business-wise. And I realize that it is extremely important to be sucked into technological push, and not to be over-engineered, and not to fall into this happy state of flow of creating engineering. So this attachment to the business is really crucial for especially for technology company. And maybe one of the main challenge that I had last years was to keep sober mind while considering the technological challenges and kind of roadmap. What should we make? What we should what should we introduce, etc. And this may be it's again, it has to do with not doing. You have very few attempts for me. You have you cannot, as when you're a startup, you cannot afford many strategical mistakes of what you do. So you maybe can afford couple, but you cannot have 5-10 mistakes. Choices. Your bet should work, and you need really sober mind, so that be very aware about what you decide to do. This is something that you can sell.
Okay, good. And so look, I've got two more questions. Well, this is a two-part question, but I'll ask them separately. So first of all, what advice would you give to people who want to start their own company? And obviously they have a lot of fear, or they're unsure about doing it. What advice would you give to those people? And the second part to that question is, what advice would you give to people who want to do exactly what it is that you do? and come into the tech space. So first part, what advice would you give to people who want to start their own business but have a lot of fear?
All right. First of all, maybe the first advice, if you have doubts to do or not to do, probably better not to do. Because doubts in sense of you don't know why to do it. Because a lot of this feeling of being CEO and drives the show and drives the business is a lot of this is illusions and kind of something people go for it just for being in this kind of state. But it's not really the reason why we should do it. If it is much more in terms of, let's say, comfortable life, if you just well-paid professional, and you have much cleaner in the head, you may have much better sleep, you probably may have better relationships, more space for things you love to do, etc. But if you just feel like you cannot do it, you cannot not do it, or kind of you have to do it. It's something like you feel in this kind of a destiny or something. It's something important, or your mission in this world, or this is part of your like personality. Okay, if you talk about me, for example, I have this kind of hunter vibe or fighter vibe. I feel very comfortable in this kind of battlefield. I mean, I call this battlefield this is cybercrime, but it's my way of feeding my inner hunter or fighter. That's why I'm doing it. This is my destiny. This is why I feel organically in this role. And I feel it's like my tribe, and we need to and these are danger, and we need to go on that.
Like no other option, nothing else.
And this is a kind of my vibe in this role. If it could be just illusion. I see some people just because they love to make a like CEO on business card or I don't know, on a LinkedIn, and have what's again part of some mask, or I don't know, or substitution of some other need or self-respect or whatever. It also can be okay, but there could be a lot of disillusioning. You would probably pass through so many disillusioning and internal transformation, and maybe you will find your reason later. Along the way, So think well why you're doing it. So maybe this is my advice.
Good. Like we've heard that a lot from other entrepreneurs. The why is really important. Okay. And what about people who want to do exactly what you do? Should they do some training? Should they, work for different companies and get some experience? Should they go, full force and, if they've got a product or something that they've created, should they try and get funding for it? Like, what would you advise them if they want to do exactly what it is and in the field that you're in?
I think there is no universal rule for success. Definitely, I've seen many successful companies run by engineers, not engineers at all. A lot of startups, they just know how to sell, and this could be good enough for starting. If one guy know how to sell, another guy know how to do a good thing, and they can fit each other, and this is already a good basis for startup. So I can share my way. So how was it for me? Of course, my advice, of course, it's good when you know what you do and understand the technology and have some technological background. I think it is great for startup funder to have this background. And again, when you sell, And when you're a CEO of startup at the beginning, you sell a lot. You cannot avoid being salesperson. And for security, it's a really red flag if you're selling like bullshit. I know, selling by just smiling and playing golf, or selling slides. You need to understand the value proposition well. You need to understand what you're really, the problem you're solving well. And in order to, if you talk about startups in cybersecurity, it requires some background. So yes, of course, experience in some role. You don't have to be cybersecurity kind of work in cybersecurity company. You could be like a former CTO or head of mobile development company. So you can have, it's maybe even more valuable experience on this side of customer. So if you're already had experience buying cybersecurity and understanding what it brings to you, it's also great. So you see there could be a lot of approaches to the same. So but yeah, to me, understanding of pain and what is behind it, of this value, this is maybe must.
Okay. Amazing. Look, thank you so much. Thank you for being so honest and so vulnerable. And look, it has been incredible having you on the podcast. And I know a lot of people are going to love this. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. It was a really great time.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.